Good morning. Welcome to your next Capstone session. Once again, I'm Mr. Michael Gagnon, English teacher here at Southington High School, who is working along with my colleague, Mrs. Carrie Louise of the Technology and Engineering Department, as we support your journey to meet the district's vision of the graduate, a necessary requirement for graduation. This is the 6th of 8 classes this year, and this video will introduce you to the concept of critical thinking, as well as provide you with guidance to select your individual pieces of evidence for your personal e-portfolio. So, as with all your previous videos, you may be asking yourself, what is critical thinking? But before we jump in and get started with critical thinking, we are going to review Southington Public Schools' vision of a graduate, since this is a statement that you have to show you have fulfilled. The vision of the graduate states a graduate of the Southington Public Schools will be college or career ready and prepared for life beyond by mastering the knowledge and demonstrating the skills to communicate effectively, think creatively and critically, and contribute to the global community. So we'll start off by doing the do now. So at this time, you will go to your Canvas module number 6 for critical thinking and complete the do now assignment, which will ask you to take a minute and think about the words critical thinking. Jot down your initial ideas on that assignment in a text box and be prepared to talk about them. You should come back to this video within 2 to 3 minutes. Now that you've entered your ideas into the Canvas assignment, you will want to take part in a turn and talk. With a peer next to you, you will take 1 minute for each of you to explain your personal meaning for critical thinking. During this conversation, you should add any additional ideas that enhance your original understanding of critical thinking to the response you currently have in the Canvas assignment. By the time you finish, you want to be certain to submit your Canvas assignment before you move on. Your Capstone advisors will also ask you to share your ideas with the class. Make certain to stop this video while you complete your turn and talk and share your ideas with the class before you return. You should return to this video and continue in approximately 5 minutes. So now that you've considered some ideas about critical thinking, let's look at a set of definitions for the term and see how they influence your understanding of it. Critical thinking is the ability to think clearly and rationally, understanding the logical connection between ideas. Critical thinking might be described as the ability to engage in reflective and independent thinking. In essence, critical thinking requires you to use your ability to reason. It's about being an active learner rather than a passive recipient of information. Another definition states that critical thinkers rigorously question ideas and assumptions rather than accepting them at face value. They will always seek to determine whether the ideas, arguments, and findings represent the entire picture and are open to finding that they do not. And finally, critical thinkers will identify, analyze, and solve problems systematically rather than by intuition or instinct. In order to assist you to move forward, we need to take a look at the rubrics that Southington Public Schools has adopted for the 4 major C's. According to the rubric, critical thinking includes the following skills: the ability to collect, assess, and analyze relevant information, the ability to reason effectively, the ability to use systems of thinking, the ability to make sound judgments and decisions, the ability to identify, define, and solve authentic problems and essential questions, and the ability to reflect critically on learning, experiences, processes, and solutions. The critical thinking rubric, which you can find located in the module for this session, focuses on the following strands: information and discovery, interpretation and analysis, reasoning, problem solving and solution finding, constructing arguments, and self-regulation and reflection. You should review especially the proficient and exemplary sections of these rubrics as they are found in your Canvas module. As you start to prepare to start working in your e-portfolio, you're going to think about your work in school over the past year of hybrid and remote learning, or even during this current year, and your use of technology. Consider the following questions. When did you think critically? How did you think critically? And what did you learn about your ability to effectively think critically? As always with this last question, you may want to consider the rubric as you answer the question. When considering evidence that you might be able to put into your portfolio, you may want to consider your approach in the following: evaluating and selecting evidence to support a claim, determining a course of action by evaluating choices and selecting the best approach, the application of complex mathematical or scientific equations or theories to address a problem or an issue, or other applications of ideas and concepts to practical problems or issues that you've been tackling in your classes. As with your previous sessions, you are going to use the remainder of the period to complete your evidence submissions, as well as your reflection that validates each of the choice that you make. You're going to review your experiences from your last year and choose your best 3 examples of critical thinking. Open your Google Site ePortfolio, access your critical thinking page, and insert each piece as a document, PDF, or photo. Be sure to include a title for each piece of evidence in the appropriate text box. And where you identified, complete the reflection of why you chose these examples. If you're unable to complete the gathering and recording of evidence during this capstone period, you want to be certain to complete pieces prior to our next capstone session. We're hoping that you've enjoyed completing your 6th step in the capstone journey by the time the period ends, and knowing that you're on your way to fulfilling Southington Public Schools' vision of the graduate. As always, if you have any questions, please present them to your capstone advisors or your school counselor. We'll see you next month.